everyone. We are having a heat wave here in UK. To be precise, we have 4 days in a row of like 27, 29 degrees. Today is 29, so it's pretty hot for UK. I have all the windows open, so if there is any noise, do excuse, but I just otherwise would suffocate. It's too hot, even with the windows open. So I'm trying to keep hydrated, have loads of water to drink, and I hope we're going to have a fun session today. So we're doing second video collaborating with Irit. Today we're going to look at using watercolors with mixed media and creating a botanical painting or illustration. And we're going to do it in our own styles, so it might be fun for you to see both of our kind of versions of this concept. So head over to Irit Landgraf's, I'll put her info, YouTube info somewhere here, channel. And yeah, you can see her video as well as mine. So what we have done is we have already created a video. If you haven't seen the process to that, I have done this tutorial here, which basically concentrates on the idea of intuitive watercolor painting and playfulness with it and what comes out of it. So if you want to see that, this was watercolor based video, but a modern or contemporary botanical sort of way of illustrating. So if you want to have a look, I'll link it up here. Again, Irit would have the same idea video on her channel, not necessarily of the same flower. I'm not sure at this point which flower she will be painting. We basically exchanged a bunch of pictures. She took some from her garden and I have taken some from my garden, and we have exchanged those pictures of different flowers, peonies, roses, whatnot. Both of us will do one of the pictures from our own gardens, and then the you know, hers, and then she will do one of mine. So yeah, if you're interested, have a look. So today it's going to be watercolor and mixed media. And before I start with this, I wanted to mention I have a class coming out, which I have been working super hard for. I have been planning this class for months and months, and I finally started filming it a couple of weeks ago, and it's sort of almost finished at the point of me filming this video. I just have to do a couple more editing sort of processes and we are done. So when this video is coming out, hopefully my first ever online course will be already available. If not, it should be that week or end of the same week as this video is coming out. So it's going to be on Teachables, and I'll try to link everything down below. And so yeah, the course is called Playful Watercolor with Mixed Media. So I will be concentrating on the medium that I have most passion for, which is watercolor. However, turning it into a more modern concept and more contemporary way of using watercolor, which is also using it with other water soluble or watercolor related products and seeing what happens and having a blast of a time, play, create. There will be 3 finished art pieces that you would hopefully be proud of hanging in your living space, framing it and displaying it or gifting it or whatever you would want to do with it. And there is also going to be a fun bonus video as well. So loads of content, worked super hard on this, and I hope you will enjoy it. So similarly to what I just explained about my online course, I wanted to base this video about just to give you a little idea or maybe a better idea of what the course is going to represent. So for me, there are 2 main elements when it comes to a piece of finished work. First is, of course, the art supplies. In my case, I have an extended array of art supplies, which I keep adding to because I find it very interesting to learn how to use a new supply, or particularly how to incorporate it in what I already have established as my own style. And when you have that many art supplies, you sometimes feel a little bit lost because there is just too much to, you know, to start off with. Where do you start? What kind of supply do you use? So I always start with that idea. I narrow it down, and then the second main aspect is the color. What colors I want to use. And once I have kind of settled the two ideas together, I then feel more ready to create, and it helps me. So in what I just said, I'm going to show you what I've done here. Is the typical example. I have selected different mediums, as it's going to be a mixed media watercolor piece. I have selected a few Derwent Inktense pencils, which are these two. Then I have a Derwent Graphtint in this lovely color here, but we're not talking colors just yet. I just want to quickly guide you through the supplies actually. And then I have the Caran Museum Aquarelle. So basically these, oh, these were Derwent Inktense as well, so 4 of those colors. Caran Neo Color 2 Aquarelle crayons are all of these and these ones. And then I threw in a couple of things for just, you know, different mediums again. Dr. P.H. Martin's Hydros, this is sap green, one of my favorite sap greens. And then Aurora and Klinger sketch ink in Emma, which is supposed to be similar to sap green, but it's more kind of a olive green color. And then finally I have Tim Holt's Distress Crayon in Tattered Rose, which is a very recent addition. So I'll just show you really quickly. I have ordered this set. This was my first distress crayon set because I've never actually bought them. Having done a video, which I'll try to link up here, about different pastels, including oil pastels, dry pastels, and water-soluble pastels, I realized I really wanted to add these ones to my collection as well. So I ended up buying 3 sets. I already received 2, and I'm waiting for 1 more to arrive later in the month. Anyway, the first color in this set is Tattered Rose, and those of you who have been watching my channel for a while, you know that Tattered Rose in the Distress ink is my favorite color for stamping out faces and all of that. So yeah, I was really intrigued to see it in the crayon. So these are water reactive pigments, which basically means it's a water-soluble crayon. These are super creamy, and they come in this sort of plasticky thing, and you just rotate it to get the crayon out. Because it's so creamy, it would just break otherwise, so that's why it comes in this kind of like a rolling gadget. And yeah, love it. So I will do a separate video swatching all of these out for you, but basically this is what is right here. So that's this color. It came out a bit funny, but it actually is, you can see on this page here, kind of very pretty nude color. Okay, so then once I've done this, obviously this is the peony that I'm going to be painting. Have I mentioned the colors of this peony? So the pink, peach, yellow and green is what I was thinking, and obviously when I was picking these supplies, these were the colors I had in mind. So here we go, the colors that I swatched out. Some of them, like these colors, they're more of accent, something that will break it down, because if you hide these turquoises, it all is a little bit sort of within one color scheme, and then boom, and it just kind of lifts the whole thing. So I like to do that in my art, where I pick a color that will be the accent color, and it happens to be that I absolutely love teals and turquoises. So for me, that's the color that I want to go for as an accent, because not necessarily can I paint a peony, you know, in a teal color, although you can do that of course, but it's just that I want to have more kind of natural colors like the peaches and the pinks, with something accentuating it. Okay, so once I've done that, I realized there were a couple of things I didn't want to include, and so I then have decided to just pick the supplies in the colors that I thought would work better. So what I've done is I have picked golden yellow, so this one, and then orange and saffron. These are the Caran Neocolor 2 Aquarelle crayons. Then I have picked this pencil. I have mentioned this pencil in the first video I did using it here, but I realized once I was editing that I didn't actually mention enough about it, and it's a water soluble, so it says Aqua Monolith. It's a water soluble pencil, I suppose, but it's really interesting. It's quite heavy and it's just a lead, so there is no wood here. This is all lead, and this particular color is tan light, so you're not going to see much of it at all once you add water, which in some cases this is what you want. If you want to have a rough kind of sketch of something and then just with water completely dissolve it or melt it. However, when you're using it on darker parts, you can actually see a little bit of it come through, which I think is a very neat effect. So you wouldn't see it somewhere around here, for instance. So yeah, that's the color I went for. It's very similar to Tattered Rose, as you can see, but it's a lot more nude because you can hardly pick it up. The next one is that Distress Crayon Tattered Rose by Tim Holtz. Then we have this lovely color, which is, what's this one? Yes, so this one is also the Caran Neocolor Light Olive, is it? Yes, Light Olive. And the one next to it is Caran Museum Aquarelle Olive Yellow. And then we have Malachite Green and Beryl Green, also the same pencils. And then I pulled out this one, which is from the Derwent Graphtint. And actually, this would work really well. The Meadow, which is swatched out here. Oops, I can't see it. So this kind of olivey green, and this. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use it or not because it's a dark blue. But yeah, so these are my options. And then once I've done that, I thought, again, this is way too colorful and I needed to narrow it down. So what I did was I just picked out these colors. I took out the oranges and I took out this color, and then this is what I ended up with. Again, I might reduce it further depending on how I feel. This might be it. And then these are going to be sort of, one of them is going to be the color, the main color. But again, I couldn't pick it straight up. And what I did was I took a break, went to have a bit of lunch, came back, and immediately when I came back, I knew I wanted this color. So this is a tip I would give you. If you're not certain, take a little break and refresh your eyes. And when you come back, you might have the answer immediately if you're doubtful about a certain color palette. Okay, so I have been chatting quite a bit, but you can see what my process is behind picking what we will use. And again, like I said, this might not be the final. I might add or subtract, but at least I know where I'm starting. And it's a very important part of creating, I find. Okay, so I've got my paper. I'm using the Canson XL paper 300 GSM. It's the watercolor cold press paper. I've got all of my art supplies here, and in this palette I have a little bit of that peach left there. Okay, so let's see where we start, where we go, etc. I'll need some water for the watercolor. And I will need a brush. So I'm going to use my Raven 10-0, which is great for these sort of loose effects. So let's start. I'm just very vaguely creating something Okay, so this is when the playtime comes. So if I see, for instance, now I didn't pick this pink. There we go, a bit into the water. I'm just going to go with it. So this is the pink to resemble the petals down below, which are pinker. So this is salmon pink. Again, I don't want there to be too much of anything pink. But a little bit of this pink. There we go. So we're going to use it as watercolor, just in some areas. What's important for me is to leave the crayon, so the mixed media aspect of it, and then also have, you know, some lines that are broken up and some that are not. Okay, so when it comes to mixed media watercolor, I don't like the traditional aspect of it. I like modern, and also I like there to be a lot of playtime and a lot of broken up lines. So I quite like this bit right here. So if I wanted to create a bit of a shape, I'm just going to use this crayon and just kind of suggest maybe a couple of petals here and there. And if there's too much detail, the great thing about these Neocolor, you can just break it up a little. Alright, so now you can see this gorgeous yellow. Again, mixing that with the watercolor is going to create a new color. It's going to turn into peach. I'm leaving some of this area white because there's the center here. And I'm going to mix that with the lighter green. Okay, I quite like this. It's very simple, very quick, and now we can start playing. So I've got these colors here, which are great. So, you know, if there isn't a green in the picture where you're painting from, that doesn't mean that you can't do it. Let's see what happens with this one. That's quite pretty actually, very subtle. So you don't see as much of it, but you can see that there is definitely some lines. So it's great for creating that layered textured effect. I'm going to go outside as well to have this outside of the white. Okay, and then where is my this color? I really want to play with that. I'm also looking over the shoulder to see if I have left any of the colors that I might want to use. So this is going to be quite milky, and I probably wouldn't want too much of it. Just like that. And then let's use a bit of watercolor just to make the pigment move a little bit. Okay, so that looks quite pretty at this point. Okay, I want some black. Now, this is not the black. I want that Stabilo All, which you can use on paper, glass, plastic or metal. Aquarelle All. And love it. It's super intense, so be quite careful with it. I find it's very easy to overdo. And I'm just going to create something that looks like a leaf. And then we're going to use that green that we used in the leaf, or the petals rather, like that. So make sure there's not too much water. And then I like these sort of smudgy effects. And then I would like a bit of that turquoise, just in some areas. So this pencil is fantastic for going into that. I really like it. And I feel like I want something up here. And that was quite loud. Okay, so we're just going to okay, let's see. All right, so that I think would be probably enough. Just a little bit of pink just onto here. Like that. And so there you have the peony in a very kind of modern and contemporary way. And you could use less of the black, to be honest, if you wanted to. But I quite like it. I like that sort of contrast with the subtleness of the pink and the black coming through. The bottom half has more darkness in there. And then one thing that I really like doing is actually adding a little bit of gold. So I'm going to pull out my gold. And let's see, this gold. Sorry, I think my memory card got full at some point, not sure which. So this watercolor is great. This is the, what is it called? Fine Tag Color M600 palette. So it's got 6 golds in there and one, or rather 5 golds and 1 silver. And this particular one is gold pearl, and it's great for, you know, bit of extra something. So, and this brush is great for creating splashes. So if you're not certain about a piece being finished yet, I find that some splashes really do help, especially if they're gold or that sort of thing. do as many as you want or as little as you want. So that's it. That's my peony. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and you can easily create this yourself. And check out our videos, and if you're interested, both our classes. And thanks for watching. See you soon.